I'll be honest with you guys, I don't think I actually touched an FPS game until I was 14 and didn't get an FPS title of my own until I started playing Overwatch hardly a year and a half ago. Up until that point, the only games that I really sunk time and money into were games like Terraria and League of Legends. So what I'm trying to say here is, I know that I'm Copper 2 in this game, but I kind of have an excuse. Yeah, that was the sound of all of my validity going down the drain. Point is, FPS games aren't my forte. Actually, scratch that. Games in general are not my forte. And I'm bad at everything I play, it's just that I seem to be exceptionally bad at FPS games. With that all being said though, I really like Rainbow Six Siege. Yeah, surprise, surprise, you don't have to be good at a game to enjoy it, so suck on that, comment section. Rainbow Six Siege, or just R6 for short, is based around a pretty simple concept. There are two teams of 5 players, one attacking team and one defending team. The attacking team is trying to complete an objective, whether that be defusing a bomb, rescuing a hostage, or securing an area. The defending team is trying to prevent that from happening, which in a way makes every one of the defenders terrorists, even though some of them are friends with some of the attacking characters according to the ass-backwards lore of this game. Speaking of lore, let me explain the premise of this game because Ubisoft, bless their hearts, try to make some sense out of what you're trying to accomplish in these games, and it still doesn't make much sense. See, according to the game's intro cinematic, they shut down the counter-terrorism unit known as Team Rainbow because they felt that its existence was a threat to civilized society. Out of nowhere comes this massive terrorism unit known as the White Mask, who take advantage of the fact that Team Rainbow no longer exists, and they start doing terrorist stuff like planting bombs at certain locations or taking hostages. The operation is then covertly restarted, and now these counter-terrorism units are going around taking out bombs and rescuing hostages. Oh yeah, and they're trying to stop the baddies from releasing a biochemical weapon, but that's the worst game mode. The funny thing is, in-game you select an operator to play as, and each operator has a defensive counterpart from the same counterterrorism unit, or CTU for short. For example, there's IQ from the German CTU, and the exact same one, but never on the same team as her, is Bandit. Like, is Six, the secret leader of Team Rainbow, the actual villain here? Maybe the game is actually a secret battle royale that determines which operator is strongest. Actually, that sounds so much dumber now that I say it out loud. Why did I write that? Between the operators that possess a bunch of different pseudo-mechanics and the gadgets and weapons and even maps at the player's disposal, R6 feels so refreshing to play, at least within the first 100 or so hours, because of how many ways a round can end. Obviously, it has to end with one team or another one winning, but how that team gets around to winning changes with each round because of all the mechanics involved. Every operator in the game has one primary weapon, one secondary weapon, a throwable or deployable device like a grenade or a coil of barbed wire, and a special gadget. They also have an armor and speed rating, and these two things are pretty self-explanatory. The higher the armor, the lower the operator's speed, but they're able to withstand more shots to the body. Operators with a higher armor rating are the big thick boys and grills, noisier than leaving a set of keys in your laundry, and are slower than the Epic Games support response times. Operators with a low armor rating can run at the speed of light, and are usually in the hands of children with severe cases of ADHD. Though, because of their low armor rating, they snap like matchsticks. Operators with a mid-tier armor and speed rating are somewhere in between these ratings and are for the people who like to live on the mild side of life. Not too fast, but not too thick to draw the attention of the kill-hungry ashmaids. Just right. The special gadgets change from operator to operator, and they each help them perform a very specific task. For example, Echo is a defender that can send out 2 drones that shoot 2 sonic blasts that make you drunk and give the defending team information on where enemies are. One of his main counters is IQ, who has a device that can detect electronic devices which she can shoot and destroy in turn. She can also detect Echo's phone, which gives away his position. Now, I call what different operators offer in regards to the game pseudo-mechanics because even though they all have different gadgets that help them defend or attack the objective, the main ways you win games are through good aim, reflexes, and above all, knowing where your opponent is at all times. At least, if you know nothing about how the game works and are looking solely for kills, these are the criterion that you'll need to fulfill to win your games. What I found to be the most helpful in regards to winning games is communication and knowing your maps. Each game of R6 is played on a set map inside some building in different locations across the world, and each map has slightly differing layouts that offer different callouts. I can't really go through all the maps right now, but my favorite ranked maps is probably Border, while my least favorite is either Consulate or Coastline because getting spawn peeked and headshot instantly is not the way that I like to play the game. Shocker, I know. Speaking of getting spawn peeked and headshot constantly, I really hate that for a game that is relatively accessible in its concept and gameplay, it highly rewards low risk plays, especially for defenders. I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but in this game there are no respawns during rounds. If you die in a round, your team is at a numbers disadvantage and you have to wait for the next round to start to play again. Spawn peeking is something that really upset people do when they don't want anyone to have fun with the game. The idea is pretty simple. In R6, there are set points on a map that the attackers can spawn into after the prep phase has passed. So, what you do as a defender is open up a window or door that looks into these spawn locations and pop the heads off of unsuspecting attackers. A headshot in this game from any distance and through any soft wall is an instant kill. It doesn't matter if your suppressor turns your SMG into a pea shooter, if you connect with their head, it will instantly kill anyone. Now, if you really want to pull out the pole strats and be hated by everyone, you can pick up these angles that are hardly 2 pixels apart, which guarantees that, if you have the reflexes for it, you can get some really cheeky kills. This of course requires 2 things in me that I simply don't have: map knowledge and being good at the game, though I understand that getting good at the game will require more time and for me to actually pay attention to the game's mechanics. In the meantime, I can keep making funny montage videos, because those don't need to represent skill at all in order to be entertaining, though being high elo makes for good clickbait because that's all anyone cares about in a competitive game like this. The problem with competitive games is their player base often becomes so consumed with the idea of being higher elo that anything and everything is in their way. That one misplay that someone else made, the fact that one person is a girl, the map, the parents using Netflix on the internet, Ubisoft's poor balancing. The list goes on, and it's this list of excuses that make competitive communities so tiring to deal with, Rainbow Six especially. For some reason, it seems like FPS games deal with this on the largest scale, especially when we consider how prevalent the meme about Modern Warfare 2's 12-year-olds is. If you think about it, those 12-year-olds who screwed your mom raised their kids to play Fortnite and R6, and it makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it? Now, I don't think that I'm good enough at the game to complain about the actual operators, but I find, as a poor player in general, that I have the worst time against most shield operators. Aim for where their head is, but oh wait, what's this? There's a piece of metal in front of it, and you can't destroy it unless they take it down on their terms, or if you have one of these things? The counter to most operators in this game is shooting them in the head, but guess what you can't do unless it's instigated by the shield players? Oh, well, what's this? A bullet? Let me just stand still for a while. On top of shield players being pretty unfair, I'm really glad to hear that line is getting a rework at some point in the future, because as a person who loves to roam around the map, there's nothing more terrifying than hearing the following sounds all go off at the same time.
You've been spotted. You're exposed. Someone exposed you. FBI, open up! You're exposed.
I'll be honest with you guys, I wouldn't recommend Rainbow Six Siege to anyone unless I know that they were okay to put up with all the crap that the game throws at you, which also includes hours upon hours of practicing the game. The game itself rewards smart play, which is good because it encourages players to think beyond kill, 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 but at the same time the game also equally rewards reckless play without any drawbacks. If you're actually good at the game, you'll be able to adapt to spawn peeking, which takes a lot of practice and getting used to. As of right now, though, I'm not any good at the game, and it's incredibly frustrating to get pitted against players who know way more about the game than I do. Guess I just have to get heckin' good, but my goodness is it irritating for me to get into game wanting to take out my opponents methodically and strategically, but what's that? The defenders have all the advantages when it comes to setup that if you're not ready to deal with spawn peaks, you can lose your round almost immediately? I want to get good. I really do. But for now, these things frustrate me immensely. Until I get good, though, I'll just be here, shooting things, and wondering why I can't hit shots on exposed targets when someone can hit me with only 2 pixels visible. Thanks for watching. Social links are in the description. Subscribe and follow my social links down below if you want to be updated on when I'm uploading next, and we'll see you on the flip side. Goodbye.